Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing a best of 3 match of Infinite Chess against chess YouTuber Tunish. Let's dive in. Alright, the last time we played this was against PJ's Chess, and I think we decided on using our rook, queen, and bishops as offensive pieces, and since the knights are way slower, they can just kind of serve as defense behind the king. So we'll go with the same strategy as last time. We'll develop the queen first, looking for some sneaky checks and attacking ideas, and we're met with pawn to e6. Not to mention, now you guys should be able to see our clocks, which mine is obviously ticking down, but what's new? I'm thinking we hold off on the attack for just 1 second, and let's develop the rook. Move it over to h, well, I guess out of the board, and the bishop comes. Holy smokes, where's that bishop? Hello? Oh my goodness. That is going to be a huge pain. Okay, wait a second. We can do this a little bit more intelligently. That's a dark squared bishop, so if it can only move on dark squares, we only have to worry about protecting dark squared pieces. So we'll move the knight back to d2, which covers the king on the dark square diagonal, and the queen flies out from from the board to whatever rank that is. I mean, it's got some threats, but we are going to try to beat him to the punch with a queen check on this diagonal. Now, the problem is the king can just escape up to e7 and actually come into the board. So I'm not totally sure how we parry that idea. I mean, I guess if the queen ever gives us a check on this diagonal, we can just shuffle over to d1. And after knight to e2, we can kind of just hang out there for a while. But in terms of actually following through on our own attack, I'm not really sure what we have going for us here. Okay, in the meantime, let's give another check. That should be fine. King moves down to d8. I think we can just crawl a little bit closer with another check. I'm already down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds, which is not ideal, but it will be fine. Knight to d7, we'll give yet another check. Force knight to e7, maybe queen takes on g7. Yeah, we do get knight takes e7. Let's take this pawn. And we have the kind of obvious threat of queen takes h8 with check. Not to mention in the near future, we might be able to play like d3, develop the bishop. f6 doesn't work because that pawn is just hanging, now that we've gotten rid of g7. So, okay, the queen moves down. Where's the queen? Okay, the queen is not actually giving check, so I don't think we have anything to worry about. This bishop has only moved once, so it has to be somewhere on this diagonal still, which means it can't support the queen. So we take a rook with check, or maybe we ignore it and just play d3, because this is a really interesting idea. Bishop g5 check, king moves over, check. I mean, the king will always have somewhere to wiggle away to, so we might as well just take the rook now with check. Okay, the king does move back. It's kind of the expected move. Let's give another check. I'd love for the king to come back up so I can bring the rook into the game. King goes up to b8. Now that seems a little risky. I'm going to give yet another check. And I know I'm just spamming checks at this point, but to be honest, I think it's a valid strategy if it eventually wins me a whole bunch of material. Okay, let's not play anything silly like check and then just lose the queen to the knight. I think we're good here to just take the knight. And I don't think we're in any real danger here yet. Okay, the queen shuffles over, actually puts us in check. I won't even think about it too much, just knight to e2, that was the plan all along. We block the check on that file. There's only a dark squared bishop, so it can't even make its way over to this diagonal that quickly. And we have about half the time the opponent does, but it should be enough because we are up a decent amount of material. Oh, he says Discord, I misclicked. Okay, we get rook to infinity and... Okay, no, actually, it's not that far. It's out here on the side of the board. Now, the problem with these infinite moves is that the only way for it to come back is to do like a huge reroute. And that's fine, but there's not really a concrete difference between a box that's that big and a much smaller box that completes the exact same route. So, as long as we don't lose track of the pieces, which we shouldn't because we have these like convenient little arrows, we should be totally fine. So, with that in mind, what do we do here? I mean, I guess we want to bring more pieces into the attack. So I think this rook is fine to move to a1. That is not a1, but you guys get the idea. Whatever square that is. Okay, we're put in check again. Is this going to be a forced draw? Oh goodness, wait, if I move over, there's check here. Wow, I don't think I have a way to stop that from being forced draw. Wait, yes I do. Okay, so what I can do here is I can sacrifice the rook. Do I love that I have to sack the rook with 1:30 on the clock? No, but takes, I move over, this check is no longer possible because the rook simply takes, and I don't believe there are any other checks on the board. So that should be fine. Okay, Tunish here still has 4 minutes on the clock. Oh wait, there's been another move made? It's my turn again. Oh, the rook comes down, interesting. Okay, I assume we just continue the attack, so we give check, and we'll try to focus in here on the king a little bit. With any luck, we can corner him and just kind of deliver a quick mate. Okay, the king comes down. I guess check is as good as any other move. down to a minute on the clock. Let's just sacrifice. Can I pre-move? I can't pre-move. Okay. We get put in check again. We'll move the king over. Oh, wait, we've moved the rook into the position now, so this draw is completely feasible. Okay, maybe this knight setup isn't as good as I thought because it's very drawish considering how weak these diagonals are. Okay, we move over, and I'm going to assume, yeah, we're going to get a threefold repetition here. Okay. Draw by repetition. Okay, that concludes game number 1. We are now half a point to half a point. Moving on to game number 2. All right, rigged. Game number 2, we get the white pieces again. Okay, so we have the opportunity to do a better strategy. I'm still going to start with the same opening move. I'm actually going to do it a little bit closer though. I feel like staying close range is actually worth something in this game. Okay, a5 does not create an escape square for the king. So unlike what I did last time, I'm going straight for the check and kind of creating a nudie butt king here on e7, or I guess d7 is fine as well. And the idea is to move the king onto this rank and start creating some actual threats. Let's move the rook over. We won't fall for the same idea, so if the d-pawn moves, I'm moving the rook right away. Okay, and Tunis is playing much faster this game, probably because he knows that I like to run my mouth. So let's give check right away. Maybe e4 actually, or e3. Whoa, covers with the queen. I will definitely take that. Do not mind if I do. Okay, knight takes back. We're going to play e3, threatening the rook. If the rook moves out of the way, which it doesn't, which means we can take it, then I was going to say we can develop the bishop as well. Okay, knight takes back. There's no rook on that side of the board, so we develop the rook, and we're looking for check. I'm trying to play this a little bit more quickly because I know I'm liable to run my mouth and lose on time. Check again with the rook. The knight is threatening knight takes c2, which is also check. The king moves up to d6. Doesn't that just fall for this? We're looking at the rook as well. King to e8 is basically forced. I don't think I care about this pawn if I can just move my king back. Or actually, here is fine too. Knight b2 doesn't work because of the bishop. Okay, so we will take the rook. We do get knight takes c2 with check. We'll move the king over to d1. Everything is covered. I'm very suspicious. Okay, there we go. We can take the knight for free. I'm very suspicious ever since the very first game of Infinite Chess I ever played against another YouTuber. My very first move, I hung the rook. So I have no choice but to be suspicious. Okay, where? Hello? Bishop? Where? You've got to be kidding me. It's okay. The bishop is on negative 1100, 1200. So it's nice and close to home. Let's zoom back in on the position. Okay, again, we're going to go back to basics. It's a light squared bishop. So if my pieces are on dark squares, I don't really care. We'll give this check on a dark square for precisely that purpose. And we're winning a bishop also on a dark square. Not to mention the bishop still has to be on that diagonal because it's only made a single move. So as long as we don't move onto a light square on that diagonal, we're totally fine. Oh, okay. Blocking with the bishop, I'm just going to sacrifice. And this actually is kind of like normal chess. I'm just looking to simplify the position and grab all the free material that's on the board. It's worth noting that pawns can still promote. They just have to reach the black line. So we'll take all of this free material. And actually, I still have 3 minutes 40 on the clock. Okay, again, a dark squared bishop has moved. It's made only one turn, so it still has to be on this diagonal. And the worst it can threaten is one of these two pieces. So we'll give this check and then take the pawn. Oh, I'll take a free knight, absolutely. King moves back, I take a pawn. And we're just going to go for the promotion. We will take a free pawn on g3. Sure, we push the pawn. Push. Take back. And this is kind of just normal chess now. We do promote to a queen. I do remember how to give mate with 2 queens. Now the problem is we have this pesky bishop sitting on this diagonal, so this diagonal is not available to me. I'm going to take back this pawn right now. Let's give check. And I just have to be careful that this diagonal I don't accidentally mess up. Okay, if the bishop covers, then I can win it. So we can play here. The bishop is pinned to the king, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. We give check, and this is exactly like we practiced in the puzzles. Okay, let's make sure we don't stalemate by accident. We'll cover these 2 ranks. Then you kind of just trap the king like this. He has to walk into the position. Oh wait, have I done this incorrectly? Yeah, I actually think I have. I think there's an easy way out though, which is just to move the queen over. The king has to move onto a dark square. We develop another piece to give check, and mate. Nice. Okay, with that, we win game number 2. We're now 1.5 to half point, but we still have game number 3. All right, for game number 3, instead of letting it remain random so I wouldn't get white 3 times in a row by accident, I did actually assign myself the black pieces, which I think is the fair thing. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, the rook is out in La La Land, and I actually kind of liked, I don't know if it was his strategy on purpose, but but I kind of like the idea of e6. Make one move that kind of serves as development, because it does make developing the queen much faster. Instead of 2 tempo, it only takes 1. And if the queen ever comes back, you actually have somewhere your king can run to. So if the queen is back here giving check, you can actually, well, maybe not direct check, but if it comes from the side, you actually have somewhere that you can run away and have some opportunities to hide between your pawns and pieces. But we get queen back to d2, which does cover this square for the queen to enter. But I'm going to insist and come down to this rank, which should be totally fine. Okay, the queen, holy smokes. Okay, the queen follows the rook. Okay, either we are going to bring the queen back to play defense, or I'm going to get some free checks off on the king. Potentially, well, I can't grab the knight because there's still a rook defending it. And actually, I can bring the bishop in as well, which is quite nice. Okay, but if the king is going to come down to the rank, I think it only makes sense. Well, let me think about this, because the queen, this is a very long diagonal, but the queen in theory, could come down like this and give check to the king. Is that actually a threat? I don't think so. So I'm going to actually ignore it and move the rook over to this square with the idea of check. At some point, maybe I develop the bishop and try to follow through with 3 pieces. We get bishop. Okay, we get bishop out of town. Let's play check with the rook. I mean, the best idea here is just to put as much pressure on your opponent as reasonably possible, and hope that checkmate sort of manifests itself on the board. We can't take this pawn because it is actually still defended by this bishop. So what's the next best thing we can do? I guess we can move the queen over. We're hitting the knight, we're hitting the rook. The knight is actually easily defended with knight back to the square, and dropping the rook isn't necessarily critical in this position. So actually, I'm going to ignore that tactic, hopefully for the better. Well, here's the thing. If I develop the bishop and there's some crazy check by the queen on this diagonal and I move up, there could be another check, and I actually drop the bishop on that same diagonal, which is almost unreasonable, but I mean, it's possible the opponent finds it. So let's actually do this. Let's move the queen over. I mean, an attack with 2 pieces is not likely to deliver checkmate, but if we can get rid of some of these pieces before we start dropping our own like flies, then at least we have a chance. Okay, it's still our opponent's turn. Okay, I got confused looking at the clocks. Okay, the knight actually does come back. We're gonna take the rook. I'm being careful that there's no discovered attack where the bishop moves out of the way and then the rook suddenly sees the queen, because that rook is actually defended by the queen. So that actually would work. Let's move back. That's kind of dizzying. Okay, the queen comes down. Where is this? Okay, somehow the queen actually comes down onto that diagonal we were talking about earlier and does give check. So lucky for us, we can just move the king up to e7. If we get checked on the file, we can probably just move the king over. If we get checked on the rank by the rook, g6 should be fine. I mean, it's a little bit difficult to feel like you've calculated all your options when the board is literally infinite, but as best as I can tell, there's a file check, I move out of the way, there's a rank check, I cover. Oh, and I guess there's a diagonal check as well, but then I move back to g7, and then we're actually out of checks. So, king up. Everything sounds like a question, but again, the queen is so far away that it's hard for her to even get any closer to the king without just losing a tempo. So if the queen wants to get any closer, she basically has to move up to e8, for example, and that's not tempo because it doesn't give check to the king. Okay, we do get checked on the diagonal, I think. Oh no, on the rank. Okay, we're checked on the rank by the rook, which is what we did calculate. So g6? h6 is interesting too. I think g6 is better just because it creates a escape square on g7. And I'm pretty sure there's only one more check, which is a check by the queen on the diagonal. We'll watch for this little emoji and see if she moves over. And then king g7 shouldn't be putting the king into any more checks. Oh, queen sack. Okay, I think this is a crash out. Okay, queen sack, we take. Unless that was a misclick, in which case, yikes. To be fair, this game kind of lends itself to misclicks. Oh no. Okay, rook takes, we'll take back with the pawn. Knight to h2, we'll take the pawn with the rook. And, okay, we're just getting free pieces. Okay, we'll speed through this if we're going to be handed free pieces. Okay, this is the most devious checkmate I could muster. The queen and the rook cover the file, the rook shuffles over, and we do win game number 3. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Go check out Tunish. We did actually play FPS chess on his channel. I will have that linked in the description, and I will see you guys in the next one.